Welcome back to Hazardous Endeavors.
Woo!
Yes, indeed, the 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast brought to you by Digital End Dice. Joining me today are Elliot Frostmoon, played by Wizard James.
Hello.
Lindo Espina, the beautiful Thorn, played by the Lady Crass.
Hello.
We have Wilf Tradewind, played by Voiceover Guy Brian.
Let's get cracking into this.
And of course, Jaxom Shaw, played by Sound Guy Steven.
Greetings.
And where we last left our intrepid adventurers, you had just made your way out into the countryside surrounding Anra'Lathan, the Magocracy city-state in the southern reaches of the continent. You had made your way out in search of a particular book known as the Abnormicus.
Oh, I wooed that book good.
Yes, Lindo, with my wonderful accompaniment, managed to seduce the book.
Yes.
But, you know, we kind of have like a platonic relationship. It's okay.
Well, it took a little bit of doing, but you guys were able to come together and return the massive book, intelligent and, well, somewhat self-sufficient book. You brought it out, and you brought it out of the tower you found it in, and through a couple issues here and there, did end up getting it back to Anra'Lathan, which is where we find you now. You have made it to the outskirts, to the outer wall, where the guards stop you, recognize you, see what's happening, and quickly call for a little backup to escort you to the Arcane College.
What? Suddenly they're treating us like we're criminals or something?
You are.
Yes, you are.
Well, I mean, there was that one time.
It was magical beer.
It was magical beer.
It was.
You did not actually have any magical beer.
It was friendship beer. Oh, friendship beer is
Friendship
magic.
is, in fact, magic in some spheres.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Right. So the guards escort you through the common area where, again, the non-citizens basically are able to go about their business.
You mean no-magis or, you know...
Non-citizens of Anra'Lathan.
Yes, that's right.
And you make your way through there, and as you're passing by, you note that a few things around you, small objects go flying, glass in a window bursts suddenly.
So suddenly, now that it's someone else's mess to clean up, I have a lot less problems with this book.
A produce farmer has his wares on display. One of his pumpkins suddenly grows an eye and a tentacle and starts slapping at people attempting to buy it.
I tried to pet the book a little more and tell it that it's okay. It's okay, book.
How much for that pumpkin?
They don't seem to be paying you much mind as they are currently hitting it with a mop. Although the book, the pages ruffle slightly and occurrences calm down through the rest of your journey through the common room area. And as you pass over one of the bridges to the more centralized located island where the tall spires of the Triumverate Tower as well as the attached Arcane University are, the people there are giving you a wide berth. People here seem to have been forewarned as to what this book is about and are attempting to be nowhere near it. So, whereas you're somewhat used to people running away from you as you're approaching, in this instance, they're more fearful about the book than they are you.
Oh, good, because I was going to start worrying that it was Jackson's smell.
I do not know what
not
they are so
a
upset
smell.
about. I hear that thick books save lives.
Yeah.
As you make your way in through a large set of double doors into one of the big open kind of great hall areas for the Arcane College, a familiar face is approaching you at a bit of a trot, and you see Anya Thistlethumb, the halfling professor, comes hustling over to you, and the guards are now looking at the book, and several of them are holding chains, but they haven't quite done anything yet.
I wouldn't do that if I were you. If you just ask the book nicely, the book would probably prefer to be in the library.
She looks around and prefers? Did you?
Yes, we had a little bit of a conversation with the book. I wrote some things down. It definitely says words. Hold on a second.
Okay.
And I ruffle around and I find that piece of paper that I was writing on.
Okay, so you pull out the parchment that you have written in a language you don't quite understand.
There you are.
You hand it over to her. She starts off looking a little bemused, but as she looks down at her brow furrows, and she looks up at you and says, "You wrote this?"
Give or take a little bit.
Yes.
Lindo is quite magical at times.
All right.
Thank you.
No.
Oh,
This is... Okay. Well, it seems that these are a list of demands.
it is
Oh,
a
really?
living thing?
It's requesting, among other things, a velvet pillow,
That seems fair.
regular offerings of fruit,
Maybe
So-
it's a vegetarian?
and bones.
I'm
Or
pretty
not.
sure that this book is self-aware and magical, probably magical enough to have well been established as a citizen of your fine nation. You've sort of been keeping it in chains on a shelf, haven't you?
It's a very dangerous artifact.
It's not an artifact, it's a person, just in the shape of a book.
People come in different shapes and sizes.
This is officially above my pay grade. So, I will forward this up, but I will have them take the book gently and without chains to where it can be held for a moment while we discuss things.
Is that okay with you, Mr. Book?
The pages ruffle slightly. One of the gem-like eyes on it kind of half closes.
Yeah, that seems okay.
I think the book agrees. Yeah.
I think we'd realize it if it didn't agree.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
you get thrown
Yeah,
around
you're
like a
right.
rag doll. It's not quite fun.
Understood. She snaps off a couple of quick orders to the guards there, who can start rolling your cart off towards a set of stairs towards the back.
See you later, book. Make good choices.
Do you think with bones and fruit, he would make some sort of fruit zombie?
I mean, I don't know.
Unlikely.
Or like a fruit golem?
It
Ooh.
seemed to be more into.
that would be an Arcana check, wouldn't it, there, Mr. GM Methan?
Sure.
Right.
No.
14.
It could,
Transmutation is a very, very strange art.
considering the powers the book has so far shown, you wouldn't rule it out entirely, but you're not 100% sure.
So, we're not going to say a hard no on the fruit zombies, but, you know,
Unlikely.
So, as the book is carted away, Anya stands in front of you and clasps her hand and says, "You have done well. You have come back, it seems, in one piece without too much trouble. You have returned a invaluable artifact to the university. I believe that, at least as far as I'm concerned, this should be more than enough to exonerate you for, well, the unfortunate events prior."
yes.
Or
Transgressions.
fortunate defense?
It is actually somewhat fortunate because what you might have just gotten is less an artifact and more an invaluable resource for your entire organization.
Unfortunately, it isn't up to me. I have
Dun,
been
dun, dun.
informed that as soon as you are returned to the city, that you are to meet with the Triumvirate.
What?
How much trouble are we in?
That is a big word.
What?
A triumvirate.
The Archmage's Council requests that you have an audience with them.
Audience. I understand audience.
Just the felons or all of us?
Are
All
they
of you.
performing?
We've been basically, Mr. Lindo, we've been asked to go see the kings of this nation.
All right. So, Professor,
Oh.
on a scale of 1 to fucked, how much trouble are we in?
I think we're kind of fucked.
I cannot bring myself to necessarily fathom their decisions sometimes. They have been fair rulers. I've only interacted with them a handful of times, but those, when I have had to, have been positive, I suppose.
They're not going to turn me into like a toad or anything.
Unless they
might.
have reason to.
If they do, it'll be a horny toad.
I did it. I do not want to be a toad. Jaxom, you're a just, right? You a justice? Justice. You don't think I should be a toad, right? That is against nature and beauty.
It would definitely be quieter.
Oh.
Lindo, you'll be fine.
So, the Triumvirate said that if you need time to freshen up, you may, but aside from that, if you are able, they wish to see you as soon as you can.
Before we do freshen up, I have a question for you.
Of course.
The object that I gave you.
I will speak with you afterwards. There's some more information I have on it, but it is something you'll have to hear from someone else.
Someone else.
Triumvirate?
I
Begins the tall wizards.
I worked with another professor who
Triumvirate?
was
Try
more of an
Yes.
expert in this sort of thing. But again, it's not for me to say.
Understood. Okay, Lindo.
Mhm.
And Wilf, we need to get ready.
So, well, I mean, I
Do you
guess
need
I
like
could
a
just-
Yes.
fancy clothes?
Fancy clothes.
I love me some fancy clothes. Hold on. I have like, should I wear my red pants? Oh, wear my tight pants? Or my tight red pants?
I'd say go for your taut red pants. I think that would be the best.
Should I do something contrasting or something that matches my tight red pants?
You never
Something
know.
that you think would look the best.
This is wizards we're talking about, so clash like they owe you money.
No.
Depending on
Be
what's happening,
overcomplicated.
you may want to wear the brown pants.
Oh, I can wear my snow clothes. I hear the backside is breezy.
No.
So, I guess we go and get ourselves all freshened up.
Mhm.
Okay.
I guess it
Anya-
doesn't matter if I wear different pants.
Anya leads you to basically a restroom nearby in the common area of the university where you're able to, take care of anything, road dust, such like
A
that.
college restroom.
Basically,
That does not seem sanitary.
it's
It's
cleaned.
a wizard
Yeah.
college bathroom.
They keep
So
it relatively
it
clean.
means that it's probably part of a dungeon and unsanitary.
Yet that's what I am feeling.
I mean, that's
Um,
entirely fair.
Oh, come on now. The
These wizards
janitors
do have the
prestige.
ability to snap their fingers and make things clean.
Oh,
Karen.
wait, you mean like this? Prestidigitation.
And
Yes.
suddenly you are clean.
Oh, me next. Me next.
Oh, yeah.
Ah.
And you're clean
Ooh, sparkly.
and somewhat pink.
What?
You know,
You know what?
belt, gloves,
Mr. Wilf,
boots.
Kinda
I
dig
would
it.
ask you to
Yeah,
please
I can plug
refrain
this.
from jokes. And I pressed a dig. His clothes back to normal.
I gotta dug the pink.
Oh, and Mr. Lindo,
It was a good look.
the last time you met a leader of a country,
Mhm.
you, on multiple occasions, asked if they were dying.
Weren't they?
That-
Actually,
no.
we found out that they were already dead.
That actually is a bit of intuitiveness that
If-
I think.
If you think about it, I was giving them a
We'll
compliment
save our
because I thought they
lives.
looked younger than they actually were.
I would highly appreciate it if you did not mention their health. And Mr. Wilf,
What do?
I would appreciate it if you did not joke around with the leaders of my country.
But then they might think that I'm a doppelganger.
Well, they didn't know you before.
They didn't know you before.
Yeah, but my reputation may have preceded me.
It does not.
What
Well-
about Jaxom? Why don't you tell Jaxom off?
Jackson's fine.
To be fair, the last time we met the leader of a country, we killed him.
That's true, and that was
Before that,
Jaxom.
He
That
asked
was
he
Okay.
asked if,
You
he
didn't
was
get
sick.
mad when Jaxom killed a king.
yeah, Jaxom.
It
Just
was
like,
less of a
if
king
you
and more
were
of a white.
a king clean
A
in
white
half.
king.
Also, he also murdered the advisor twice. Twice.
Twice. Twice is good.
Yep.
Okay, Mr. Jackson, don't murder the leaders of our country.
Well, I mean, even
My
if you do a Genzi's on that, if you only kill two of the kings, you still have a third one because the Triumvirate.
I imagine that we're putting on our pants and our
Yeah,
shirts
you
while
guys
this
are
is
cleaning
happening.
up and getting yourselves a little bit more presentable at the moment.
Like having stall talk. Do
Right.
boys do that?
No.
Okay, well, we're having a girl moment.
Okay, that's fine. So you guys get ready. You put on a little bit more presentable clothes, or at least clean the ones you're wearing. And as you make your way back out into the common area, Anya waves you over, and you follow her out from the university doors into the main tower proper, the tall tower that you see from everywhere in Anra'Lathan.
Lindo, check for traps.
That's
no.
fair. But why not? It is a tower,
It
a
is
wizard owns it.
not-
There's probably multiple wizards.
Trapped.
The center of the tower is hollow. You're able to see up as it goes up, almost to the point where there are seemingly clouds inside.
That seems like a distinctive waste of space.
Surrounding on the inside of the tower are multiple levels where you can see people going about their work, as well as small floating platforms where people are going about between the different levels, accessing different rooms, large bookshelves, such like that.
Illusions, Lindo. Illusions.
Not necessarily.
And she leads you into the center of the room, and you note that basically right under the middle of the tower is an open space where people aren't casually walking through, where you would expect in a lot of like village squares or city centers, things like that. People would walk through the center fairly easily and often. People are avoiding walking directly over the center, but Anya is leading you directly to it.
Because they know where the trap is.
Uh-oh.
It's not a trap. Follow me.
Well, okay, so then where's the mimic?
You know, I kind of trust Elliot on this one. You just go.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right,
I'm
but I'm just saying.
I do not know how to do magic spells very
Plus,
well.
the mimics are somewhere else.
He does have the hometown advantage here.
Izzard ways, egg may, ungen days.
Oh, new language. I don't know that one.
Anya has recommended, though, that you leave the vast majority or any and all weaponry behind, or at least in safekeeping.
Where
But-
do we put it?
They'll keep it at the front desk.
To keep La Rosa
Yes.
at the front desk?
The guards will make sure that your equipment is kept safe.
I whisper sweet nothings to her. And then I leave her. And I look at the guard and I'm like, if you touch her, I will kill you. Twice. 3 times.
What about La Monica?
I would rather it be peace bonded.
Was that your other sword? La Monica?
No, the other one is the stranger.
Oh, right. Yes. This is with your offhand.
Yes.
Right. So...
It is La Rosa and the stranger. Yes.
Right.
All right, so be careful with this sword. It may belong to an alien.
They nod and take it off to the side, and as you
I'm just behind. I'm just going.
but as you make your way into the center of the tower, you look up, and it seems like the daylight is being funneled down into the center of the tower from numerous windows and such above, causing the center here to be almost brilliant in how it's well lit and shiny. And as you stand there, you feel warm, as if the sunlight is calming you, is washing over you. You praise the sun. And as you stand still over there for just a moment, you feel like almost a wave come down over you, just like almost this rippling feeling of the air. And
Tingly.
after just a moment, things fade from view, and it's almost like an extended blink. And as you open your eyes again, you are standing in a completely different room. Unlike the last time you have felt a teleportation spell where it feels like someone reached in through your stomach and grabbed your internal organs and yanked you through a small hole, this one feels more like you just kind of open your eyes and you're there.
Did I
That's
take a
some
nap?
weird stuff.
Did I fall asleep while I was standing again?
Yes.
No.
The room you're in is circular. There are, instead of walls, pillars that surround the room on almost the entire outside diameter, radius? No, circumference. Thank you. That one. No, I get there eventually.
Math.
The circumference of the
final
room
frontier.
has pillars supporting the roof, and you note that as you look out, you're able to see Anra'Lathan, arrayed out. You feel you are looking down at it from a great height, and that's when you realize you are at the very top of the tower you have seen throughout the city and from a great distance. The one wall that exists is on one part of the outside of the circle, and it is it's presenting in front of it 3 chairs.
Whisper to Lindo. This is where the boss from the dungeon is.
I thought Elliot said it wasn't a dungeon.
It is not a dungeon.
Oh, he can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you. This is a throne room. In a sort.
He is
Or the
lacking,
boss of the dungeon.
lacking a ceiling for being a room.
The thrones are empty at this moment, but Anya turns and kind of makes a placating gesture and says, okay, just try not to say or do anything offensive if you can.
Oh, of course.
Okay.
And she looks at you slightly worried and
I will be my normal
Gives
charming self.
a little bit of a smile.
Absolutely charming.
Elliot
That's
is
not what he asked.
just
Perfectly charming.
It's not what she asked.
looking more and more sick and
You sure?
Yes.
shrinking smaller and smaller.
Oh, you've almost gotten sea green right.
Okay, give me an example. What do I do? Ready?
Nothing.
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 Literally nothing.
Do nothing.
Do nothing.
The
Breathe still.
room
Okay.
remains pretty empty for about a minute or so as you're standing and looking around, kind of just taking it in. And as you're looking around, very suddenly one of the thrones is occupied. You see an elf, very stately in appearance, sitting straight backed, hands, with the fingers enmeshed together on their lap, staring at you, very obviously high elven, eyes a glowing gold. Their hair long and silvery, coming down over a set of extremely ornate robes. Reds, purples, and golds interwoven in patterns across it that seem a lot deeper than they should be.
Ooh.
And you note that while most elves you've seen are almost ageless, you're able to see quite a lot of the kind of the fey nature to them. This one is obviously older. You are seeing wrinkles on a face you've never seen wrinkles on before. It is not only the way that it's sitting and the way that it is kind of radiating this presence, but you can tell you're sitting in front of an extremely old elf. And at the moment, he is sitting quietly and just watching.
Lindo is holding perfectly still.
I mean, who talks first? Do they talk first? Do we talk first?
A few moments later, from behind one of the thrones, a cloud, a little bit of mist starts to flow out, and as it makes its way through, it starts to coalesce in the third throne, on the one furthest to the right. And as it slowly gains form, you're seeing a tiefling woman, dark purple skin, eyes behind a veil, horns back, kind of rising up and then going back to points. And she's wearing robes, but more form-fitting. It looks closer to a dress than a robe, and dotted here and there with precious stones, numerous rings on her hands. The tips of her fingers coming back, they are dark pitch black that seem to fade into the purple up to her elbows. And she's sitting there, legs crossed, feet ending in hooved words.
Hooved.
Ending in hooves.
Hooven feet.
Hooved feet, which are themselves chased with gold. And she is lounging in her throne and looking at all of you. Although each of you get the feeling that she's staring at you, you can't quite tell where she's looking.
Lindo, I don't think we're the most ostentatiously dressed at the moment.
I lean to one side slightly, and you can hear my pants creak.
And just a moment or two after she appears, there's a crack of thunder, just echoes briefly, and walking from one side of the room, as if mid-stride he appears, is a human man. Seems maybe in his late 20s, early 30s. Short red hair, and wearing more utilitarian clothing, almost like traveling clothes, but obviously from money, a little bit more like what a noble would wear when traveling, with a little bit of the longer robe look, almost like it was thrown over the rest of it, kind of in a hurry. And he comes just sauntering by and then sits in the throne on the left and looks around and looks at the other two, who give a nod to him. And then the elf in the center leans forward. Welcome, the new Dawn Guard.
Hello.
Hello.
Oh, shoot. I wasn't supposed to do anything. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right. They talk to you, so you can
Okay.
talk to
All
them.
right. No, that's fine. It's fine. We're fine. Elliot, we're fine.
Say hello.
Greetings.
We are aware of the things you have done here in our city, both for ill and for our benefit.
You're welcome.
There are a few things that you must be made aware of before you leave. And he leans back slightly. The human kind of sits up a little bit straighter in his chair. Says, first of all, perhaps it would be best if we were to introduce ourselves. Aside from young Frostmoon here, you are all visitors to our land.
Yes.
It's true. Well, true.
Yeah.
I am Archmage Christopher Eldon. I'm one of the Triumvirate here, as you can plainly see. And he motions to the elf and says, this is Archmage Varanthus Filranan
Oh, man.
and Celestara Mistborn. We are the Triumvirate of Anra'Lathan, the ruling council.
Hello. Oh.
Greetings. I am Wilf Tradewind. Our good friend Jaxom Shaw. Lindo Espina, the beautiful Thorn.
It's the hot thing.
And of course, you know,
Elliot, there's
little-
a whisper in your
Elliot
ear
there.
coming from extremely close, and a woman's voice says, Young Frostmoon returned. And suddenly, Archmage Mistborn isn't in her throne. She's standing less than a foot away from the side of Elliot and is staring at him intently.
Who the
Personal
hell, woman?
bubbles aren't much of a thing here. I see.
Hello?
You've gained power.
Yeah.
I was
Some.
I was certain she was going to say wait.
And she steps past you, and you feel as if, like, a wind passes for a moment, and then she's back in her throne, as if she never left, still lounging in the same position.
That looked handy.
Eldon gets kind of a bemused expression on his face and says, So, we won't waste your time too much, if we can, but there are a few things here. First of all, when you were previously here in the city before you left to take care of the errand, which, again, thank you for succeeding at that.
But by the way, there, Archmage
Eldon,
Sir,
yes.
you might actually want to reassess the property status of that there book. I think it actually is more a person, and it might actually do your kingdom a little good to treat the book as a person. I think it actually could contribute quite a bit to your whole thing you've got going here.
Like fruit golems.
I understand.
Golems are a possibility.
It's a possibility.
I'm sure we could take this under advisement. He looks
Sorry,
over at
just-
the other two. You get a chuckle from Archmage Mistborn, although Phil Renan is still staring at all of you, just unmoving, and as he doesn't return Eldon's glance, but
Seems like a man who'd enjoy himself some Pepperidge Farms.
Eldon says, because he remembers. Eldon says, the warehouse that you found yourselves in your endeavor.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah.
It turns out, after some investigation, that particular merchant was dealing in some, shall we say, shady business. He was dealing in objects that he had no right or legal authority to do so.
Like holding angels?
Well, unfortunately, that is something that is allowable. It's a familiar trade, as it were.
That can't be right.
These things happen. Extraplanar creatures are something that, if with the correct licenses, are something that are available for purchase
Just
and
put the
trade.
angel in the jar and sell it?
It's a distasteful trade, but it happens.
But more importantly, there were other artifacts and objects that he had acquired that he was attempting to move clandestinely, and they were acquired and confiscated. We contacted the rightful owners of one particular case, and they informed us that if Jaxom Shaw were here, that he was to be granted this item in the church's stead.
Really?
And he makes just a motion with his hand, and out of thin air, a little pop, and there is a box about 2 feet by 1 foot by 2 feet, and it is emblazoned with the symbol of Palor on the front, almost like the lock for a key, and various different gold and silver and mithril filigree over the top and sides, and he motions as it floats over
fancy
and
box.
lands in front of you with a thud.
How much do you think the box is worth?
It's very ornate.
Jaxom, you recognize. You've seen a box almost exactly like this, although smaller. You saw it in the tower,
Really?
in the Coleman's Rest Lighthouse.
Rest, yes. Mhm.
That box?
This apparently had been acquired by this individual some time ago, and he was looking to fence it. We are lucky enough to intercept it before he was able to find a buyer. But the Church of Palor has requested that it be given to you.
Did we just find...
Accidentally in the garage? Oh my god! It was magic beer.
It was magic beer. It was probably the intercession of some form of...
Deviation beard. No. Divination beard? Man. No, I said divination beard. What's that look like?
I kneel down and open the lid of the box.
Okay. It seems to be locked.
Or try to.
The last time you had opened one of these, you
Hold my symbol.
pull your holy symbol out and you attach it to the symbol in front and turn it.
Yep.
And as it does so, there's the clicking of the mechanism. And as the top of the box cracks open, there is a pulse that you all feel that escapes from the box and goes out.
This place is full of tingly things.
All of you feel something change about, not necessarily yourselves. You don't feel like this power is entering you, but Elliot, you feel the connection to your staff that you've attuned to suddenly grow
I
stronger.
don't currently have.
But you feel the connection
Okay.
grow stronger. Lindo, your armor actually seems to strengthen slightly. It grows a little bit more protection in places, gains a little bit more filigree to it.
Oh.
And
Spicy.
Wilf, I believe it was your cloak
and chestplate.
and your chestplate and your cloak. All of the equipment you had previously been granted by the church, the relics of the Dawn Guard, you feel as if they themselves are absorbing some of the power of that wave that spread out from the opening. And we'll get to the nuts and bolts of the mechanics in a little bit, but that's what you guys feel. Jaxom, as you open the top, you are looking at a set of shining silver greaves
Ooh.
And they match your bracers in the styling with the sun motif displayed on them. They seem untouched by time.
Well, alrighty then. Start switching things
That
out.
is-
As you're
Just
looking
sit
down
on
at
the
them,
ground and
suddenly there's a
circle it down.
presence next to you, and the tiefling archmage is looking down at them next to you, and she looks up at you, and she gets a smile just a little too wide, and nods slowly. The new Dawn Guard, then. And as she steps back, she dematerializes. Lindo, you feel a presence suddenly behind you, and a hand is laid on your shoulder.
Hello?
You've come again.
Not yet. Wrong
No.
thing to say.
A bit of a chuckle that echoes into nothingness as she disappears again and is now sitting in her chair leaning forward and smiling.
Somehow a merchant stole a piece of the armor of Kalendor Brightblade?
Well, I mean, like how we're wandering around trying to find some of these pieces, they're sort of scattered about. I imagine that someone found it, sold it to him, who was planning to, hawk it to the highest bidder. But that's my thoughts, probably.
It's what we get for being the second coming of the Dawn Guard. Eh?
Yes, and doing the right thing and freeing angels.
That's right. Fist bump.
So, Jaxom, you take a moment to remove your old set of greaves. It takes you a few moments, but
Yeah.
you place these ones on, and as you do, you feel all of your armor suddenly start to like infuse itself more. You feel it become slightly lighter, more comfortable, and as you're watching, your bracers actually start to extend. The gauntlets you're wearing suddenly change, and they start matching up with the bracers themselves. As a matter of fact, from your gauntlet all the way back to your elbow, you are now looking at armor that looks like it's part of the set.
That's
Very nice.
pretty fancy.
And there's this light that was suffusing you as this happened that everyone was having a slight difficulty seeing through. And as it kind of calms down, you're standing there kind of flexing the new pieces, and you definitely feel like there's a bit more power behind it.
Ooh,
But
looking handsome.
you don't quite recognize how you would tap into it yet.
A bit of
Um,
work.
For the first time since you've entered the room, Archmage Triumverate leans forward with interest, kind of watching you intently. Interesting.
I look over at him, and in Elvish, I'm a bit surprised at this myself.
This won't be like the last time, then.
The last time.
He nods. Eldon looks at him, raises an eyebrow, but doesn't say anything. You are not the first of the New Dawn Guard. After the War of Ascension, 1,000 years ago, the pieces were scattered. The followers of Bane and the followers of Kalendar made their way around, looking for ways they could gain power. 500 years ago, when I first took seat at this triumvirate, another group attempted what you are attempting.
Oh, man.
They attempted to gain the power of the Dawn Guard to strike down the followers of Bane. They did not acquire pieces of the armor, though. They did find one of the artifacts of the armor of Bane, but they lost it. They had attempted to acquire another one. They got greedy. They located the lair of a dragon named Zermagdrian. They attempted to steal away a piece of the armor that he had acquired. And for their efforts, they were destroyed. If you are on a similar quest, hopefully you will not meet with the same fate.
We're the third coming? Man, it's not as cool sounding as the second coming. I say all of that in Elvish.
They seem like they understand.
Really, I think the kicker there is none of us would be terribly appetizing for a dragon. So we'll try to
I don't.
destroy the bits of bane where we can find them if we can. And
Oh,
Elliot,
yeah.
what you got? What you got?
Well, the followers of Bane are also gathering pieces of the armor, and they currently have 2 as well, at least as far as we know.
Phil Renan just nods once. Eldon looks grumpy.
weird, gigantic shade thing throwing around power and being all sorts of scary like.
It is the source of the issues that have been plaguing Dariel as of late.
Eldon nods, says, "We've heard tell of your exploits in the Rotting Hills. We heard the stories of what you've done and what you encountered there."
I told some of those stories.
I see.
You embellished some of those stories.
No, everything was true. 100% true.
But if we don't start, if each of the countries under the light don't start working together, I fear that a united front of the forces of Bane will overrun us. Even the mages.
They don't seem to be too hesitant in joining forces together, and that's I see the problems that have been happening up north with the mountains. That's only a small section of what all will happen if the forces of Bane have a strong enough figurehead to rally behind.
The green tide marches again.
Eldon nods. Phil Renan again leans forward, steeples his fingers. "You must understand. We attempted this once. The city looked at it as our best chance of survival, and we poured resources, assistance, men, women. We attempted everything we could, and it failed, and we lost many. It has taken many years for us to rebuild what was lost during that time. We will not risk that again. We can provide some assistance, but we cannot dedicate ourselves to a cause we have seen fail before. I will not speak to the heroism of those who came, or your abilities, but know that you are up against a foe that shattered the world. And if you fail for even a moment, it will happen again." He just leans back.
I'm sad now.
Eldon says, "But of course, on the other hand, what assistance we could do is at least putting in a good word and helping you out on your way. My assumption here is that you are searching for more of these artifacts. You are finding, and of course you have the backing of the church, as it shows.
Yes, we do.
Then
And the provisional government in Kellenhall.
I mean,
I mean-
he has the backing of the church.
well then, if
Some of
that is
us
the
not so
case,
much.
if perhaps you are able to acquire some assistance from some of the others, we would be more likely to be able to step in with less." He looks over as he's about to, you can see that he's about to say a word that he might regret, and says, "Hesitation."
So,
Others?
Archmage Mistborn, as she leans back in her chair looking at you all, says, "I like them.
I like
I
you.
think they'll do good.
And that guy. He doesn't say a lot, but I like him.
Perhaps more than a good word. Perhaps maybe more information. Have them speak to Professor Albright." And Eldon suddenly looks really uncomfortable, crossing his arms and nods. Phil Renan, gives a little bit of a smile. It would be prudent if you were to speak with someone who has first-hand knowledge of what you seek.
Oh, like the shiny armor or the not so shiny armor?
Elliot, you recognize the name of Professor Albright. Professor Albright is a lecturer of history here at the university. He's also a talking skull. You also know that he's not all quite there in the headspace.
Oh,
Alas, poor professor.
I see.
You know him as one of those
He
classes
knows
that
him.
people take because they have to go through a
But
lot
not
of the
well.
historical knowledge, but very little was actually... there's theories around campus as to what actually happened and where he's from and how old he is, but he's never outright said anything about his past, only talking about basically histories from different points of view.
Are you willing
I
to say
most definitely took some of his classes. I'm
Is-
trained in history.
that eccentricity is now a result of infinite jest?
Entirely plausible. But Eldon says, look, we are fairly certain that we have the location of at least one piece of the Armor of Bane, but look, we believe that Zermagdrian still lives.
The
At this-
dragon?
Yes.
Mm.
He would be ancient at this point. He is a red dragon of massive size and cruelty. The last time that the Dawn Guard attempted what they were trying to get the armor from him, in retaliation for their impudence, he burned half the countryside around him. There are large swaths of the western end of Artemisia that still bear scars from his wrath. One of their major cities was utterly ruined in the devastation and has never been rebuilt. They don't necessarily look kindly to people going there, and I would recommend not heading there immediately if you could. But we are fairly certain at least one piece of the armor is there.
I don't think we're ready to fight an ancient dragon as of yet.
I don't know. I think I could take it.
But there was the flying citadel that is supposedly somewhere in Artemisia.
Professor Albright will have some information about that, I'm sure.
Perhaps
it's-
a direct confrontation with him not be so wise. Maybe some barter negotiation.
Oh, maybe Lindo, Espina, the beautiful Thorn, wooer of books and friend to ogres.
Phil Renan
Compromise.
gets a bit of a wry smile and says, well, perhaps you are smarter than the last ones.
Thank you.
Very well. Assistance will be given.
Oh, we can try to burgle him.
I could probably try the bell.
Miss Bourne stands up and slowly saunters over to your group, and she pulls from the depths of her dress robe a scroll case,
Where was she hiding that?
and she says, "This will grant you passage, whether you take the northern road through Kazdolatar and the realm of Tharbalg Orc Fury, or whether you wish to try another way. This will grant you passage. The ships at port will allow you to travel with them if you have this. Or maybe you go north. Your path is yours to choose, and I am very interested as to which you will choose."
I'm gonna just take
And
that
she-
from you.
Hands it to Lindo.
Okay. Put this away now. Goodbye.
Please, don't fail.
Yep, we'll stake our lives on it.
All right,
Obviously.
nice lady.
And she walks back to her throne, sits down in it.
Oh, she walked this time.
She did.
Mm.
Tail swishing back and forth as she moves.
She ran out of spell slots for Misty Step.
Yes, the Archmage just ran out of spell slots.
Swoosh, poof. Swoosh, poof. Shit.
So as they
It's such a waste of spell specialization.
they sit for a moment and they look at each other as if conversing, but you don't hear anything. But obviously some communication takes place, and they all sit up a little straighter. Eldon leans forward. We wish we could do more. I wish we could do more. But in this instance, you are the best hope we have. And perhaps once you have gathered some more support, once the armors of Dariel have, well, reclaimed some of their former strength, perhaps if the dwarves have sided with you, and perhaps if Artemisia can lay down old grudges, then we might stand a chance against the coming tide.
We appreciate anything that you are able to give, anything you're willing to give. We dare not ask for what people are reluctant to give up.
If I could make a single suggestion. The current regent of Dariel could use some help from this country.
We have sent assistance, and we will maintain good relations with Commander Bale, I believe it was.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I miss Bale. I wish
There's
I
a
had
chuckle
Bale.
from Archmage Mistborn at that, and she smiles. Phil Renan says, "We have also received communication that you brought with from Marshal Cyrus Donovan in the north. We are aware of the situation, and we will do what we can to stem the tide, but our borders will remain secure. We cannot secure all of Dariel ourselves."
I can agree with that.
Understandable.
Well, thank you. I'm sure any help will be great up north.
I recommend you make haste. You have work to do. And Phil Renan stands, turns, and walks behind his throne, and there's a kind of a snapping sound, and he's not there.
Hey, goodbye. That was rude.
Mistborn stands up, and she smiles as she kind of turns into a mist that fades as it gets closer to you. And Lindo, you hear a whisper in your ear that is just a low chuckle, very sultry, as you feel almost a hand rubbing, like the back of a hand kind of sliding down your cheek.
I am almost disturbed. A little turned on, kind of disturbed.
The echo goes away. Eldon sees that, kind of watches both of these happen, sighs. Again, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're welcome.
Miss Thistlethumb will show you out.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm.
Yes, young Frostmoon, you have something you wish to say.
He turns like if there was a color Elliot could turn blushing,
Purple.
this would be it.
Purple, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you. Yeah.
Of course. Continue your studies and do what you can. We are expecting great things of you, young Frostmoon.
Cool. Notice
Good day.
Senpai.
And he takes a step, and there's another kind of clap of thunder, and he's gone. Anya lets out a breath that she might have been holding for quite a while, says, "That went, better than expected."
I am not the toad.
Yes, indeed.
Nor are you a horny toad.
Indeed. Shall we go?
Yes,
Yes.
please. This
Oh,
place
no,
is
I do not want to be here anymore.
very high up.
And as the light envelops you yet again, and as you feel reality kind of fading away just barely, that is where we're going to end for this episode. So thank you for joining us for another episode of Hazardous Endeavors, and until then,
Game on, Internets!